Thank you so much, Hani. And for more analysis, we're joined from Cairo by Al Akhbar Daily newspaper editor-in-chief, Dr. Osama Saeed. A very warm welcome to Q News, sir. Sir, how do you interpret the Egyptian president's remarks addressing the situation in Gaza? And what new directions do they suggest for Egypt's foreign policy?
Absolutely. The speech articulated by His Excellency President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi to clarify the facts with regard to the situation in Gaza. First, that the Egyptian role is in a very pivotal, and the Palestinian cause has very much a priority for the Egyptian state throughout the past decades. Not only since the current situation with the Gaza Strip. Secondly, there are attempts to distort or to slander the Egyptian state for the interest of the regional partners and that has no interest for the region and the Arab world. And therefore, the president's assertion upon a series of some points regarding the Palestinian cause. Firstly, Egypt has categorically rejected the forced displacement as it constitutes the liquidation of the Palestinian cause. Secondly, Egypt exerts all the efforts in helping our Palestinian brothers and different partners to end such a conflict. Thirdly, Egypt is playing a pivotal role regarding the mediation that targeting ending the war and the humanitarian suffering. Fourth, Egypt is moving by all means by relieving the Gaza Strip through delivering the aid through the Sol crossing, which is Rafah crossing. In return, Israel is very much insistent to closing all the linked crossings with this strip, and even Rafah crossing was disrupted by the occupation, the Palestinian side, and therefore closed the only crossing that represents a real relief for the people in the Gaza Strip. Fifth, the international community should shoulder a great responsibility regarding alleviating the humanitarian crisis and pressuring Israel to assist the delivery along with the truckloads that are piled up at the crossing. Egypt endured several responsibilities through donations of 80% of the aid throughout the past months. Several Palestinians are receiving medication in the Egyptian hospitals. Egypt had a lot to do as actually doing so, but Israel isn't responding with such accesses and trying to prolong the conflict. As always, Egypt is calling for ending the conflict through a peaceful solution. Therefore, the message of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was very substantial, directed in his appeal to President Trump to end such a war.
Sir, in light of Egypt's long-standing advocacy for a two-state solution, how does the current crisis in Gaza impact the prospects for such a resolution?
Firstly, the two-state solution is the only solution acknowledged internationally, and there is some sort of consensus internationally to the possibility of ending the conflict in the Middle East through the two-state solution. In fact, there is a growing consensus within the international arenas in endorsing the two-state solution, as we've seen within the meeting of the United Nations, that resulted that more than two-thirds of the whole world supporting such a solution and supporting the establishment of the Palestinian state. As we've seen, the summit hosted by the United Nations and through which that some of the Western countries endorsing this two-state solution, as we witnessed a shift in France's stance, and we might see the same thing in Britain, that would urge more countries to go and take or to join, to be involved. The United States is, along with Israel, are the main power that disrupting such a solution by ending the dream of the establishment of a state. The United States even supported historically throughout the past administration, clearly endorsed such a solution. But unfortunately, up till this moment, Trump's administration seems that has no political will or the sufficient support of such a solution. And I think personally the two-state solution, that's the only solution to contribute to ending the conflict in the Middle East. As the Arab Initiative announced in 2002 that stipulated a full normalization with Israel, provided the establishment of the Palestinian state on the lines of 4th of June 1967. Therefore, if Israel wishes to live in peace, guarantee normalized ties with the neighboring Arab countries, so it has to approve the establishment of the Palestinian people and the two-state solution, even the Palestinian state to be disarmed without any army, and therefore a protection or an international protection will be provided to protect such a country. The establishment of the Palestinian state would de-escalate the stability or the instability in the region.
Sir, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu's proposed strategic shift and the threat of annexation if Hamas doesn't respond to a ceasefire deal could drastically alter the geopolitical landscape. What are the immediate and long-term implications of such a move from your own perspective, sir?
Certainly, the Israeli threats, either by annexating Gaza or controlling the territory of the West Bank, or to expand the ongoing settlement in several areas in the West Bank, are factors that would lead to igniting the crisis and to maintain the pace of tensions in the region without having any anticipated calm. Israel, unfortunately, is very cornered to the far-right political path that has no solution but using the force, despite that such a government has caused several or many casualties for Israel itself and therefore the Middle East. This government sees only the military solution that uses force and power. Certainly the idea of annexation of Gaza is an Israeli notion throughout the past, manifested by Israeli experts, planned throughout the past years, but never went to be effective or implemented due to the great difficulties in execution of such a plan. And this would have a highly cost for Israel. So controlling the Strip is very dangerous for Israel. That would require a need to recruit more of the reserves of the occupation. That would increase the cost. In light of the current crisis regarding the calling the reserve soldiers for recruitment and concentration, and would lead the escalation to original rejection by establishing any normal ties with Israel forcefully would lead to repeating the crises between now and then, and therefore the lead would be look like close to a very igniting barrel to the only solution that would lead to comprehensive just peace in the region and a calm that would guarantee regional stability. The announcement of the Palestinian establishment that is livable, and the association of settlement and to sit back or to pull back of using the power that proved that the conflict in the Middle East region cannot be resolved by force and power.
That was Dr. Osama Saeed from Cairo, Al Akhbar Daily newspaper editor-in-chief. Thank you very much for joining us on Q News, sir, and for your valuable, of course, analysis.